All of them were widely and deeply loved. Nothing will ever be able to fill the void they left behind.
A Lorain police officer killed in the line of duty last year honored today at a statewide ceremony. Officer Philip Wagner ambushed and shot last July.
And today his name was added to the Ohio Fallen Officers Memorial Wall alongside 3 other officers who gave their lives in 2025. Here's Brittany Weir.
Officer Philip C. Wagner, Lorain Police Department.
Those words and that salute are what Phil Wagner's family traveled to London, Ohio for. A final and formal farewell during the Ohio Peace Officer Memorial Ceremony. Wagner was a Marine, a SWAT operator, a husband and father of 3, a man who gave everything and ultimately gave his life.
Last year, 10 children were suddenly left without a father. 4 grandchildren without their grandfather. 3 wives without their husband.
Wagner joined the Lorain Police Department after 4 years in the Marines, including a combat deployment to Afghanistan. He worked his way up, earning his SWAT pin on July 22, 2025. 2 days later, he was gone. Wagner and another officer were ambushed as they sat in their cruisers on their lunch break. His fellow officer survived, but Wagner did not. He was just 35 years old and the first Lorain officer killed in the line of duty since 1944.
Phil didn't like being called a hero coming back from deployment because he felt that the heroes were the ones who laid down their lives for others. Well, Phil, you're a hero.
Those who knew Wagner say he was already thinking about what came next, not for himself, but for other officers. Shortly before he was killed, he told his wife that he was considering becoming a pastor, a refuge for fellow officers struggling to find hope.
Each of these officers we are remembering today had something unique and wonderful to offer his family, his friends, and his community.
"844 names are engraved on the Ohio Fallen Officers Memorial Wall. These are all officers who gave their lives serving their communities. Now, Officer Phil Wagner, along with 3 other officers' names, join them. Reporting, Brittany Weir, 19 News.